What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I've been covering a bunch of news coming out of CES all week this week with all of the different handhelds, and we're just about probably done with them. But Zotac has finally announced their Zone 2. We don't have a release date or price yet, but we've got this article from Video Cards from CES here where they finally came out and talked more about the actual specs they're looking at here and what this device is going to look like as the successor to their original Zone product, which didn't do that great last year, but it came out pretty late with some later hardware and stuff like that. So we'll get in and take a look at this article and see what Zotac has in store for us here for 2025 coming out of CES. Alright, taking a look at this article. Zotac Zone Handheld revealed Ryzen AI HX370 APU, AMOLED, and 32 gigabytes of RAM. I've had quite a few of you comment to me this week with all these coming out that you're really looking for an HX370 handheld. Since Acer dropped the ball with their Nitro series and seems to be using the older 8840 series chips, this is probably going to be the best route for you unless we get some other announcements. I haven't seen any other handhelds being announced with this yet. We've got Z2 Extremes coming, which are based off of something very similar though. New Zone has AMD Strix Point APU and sticks with its OLED display. Maybe this time it won't arrive too late, which was one of the biggest problems for this device back last year when it came out. And it's going to switch to white from black this time, it looks like, and you can see a whole list of the specs here on the picture, and we'll go down here and go through those as well. So Zotac announced its partnership with AMD and launched the Zone handheld in Q3 2024, significantly later than its competitors. The device, featuring the Ryzen 7 8840U Hawk Point, was released after the Ryzen AI 300 Strix Point series was announced, and even with the OLED screen, its main feature did not make a notable impact. Yeah, it wasn't surprising that the original Zone wasn't able to sell a lot when it had come out. It came out pretty late up against a bunch of other devices, so kind of is what it is. This time, Zotac is prepared to showcase its Ryzen AI HX370 system alongside AMD's announcement of Ryzen Z2 based handhelds. The arrival of Strix Point based systems has only just begun, so perhaps Zotac won't lag as far behind this time. No, they won't have as much trouble this time. 2025 we're good if you're rocking these new AI 300 series APUs, or if you are getting into the Z2 Extreme or something like that, we're going to be good for a little while. But the Zotac comparison here, we'll take a closer look at that in a minute. But here's some pictures. Looks like we got the dual trackpad still, same button layouts, basically the same layout and design that we had from the original. They've changed the color and maybe they've tweaked a few other things here as well. The company has confirmed that their new system is powered by the Ryzen AI HX9 370 processor, the full Strix Point APU with 12 cores, and Radeon 8090M. Unlike the Ryzen Z2 Extreme announced for Legion Go 2, this APU features the full core count and support for XDNA2 NPU acceleration. Now there's a little bit more with this one with the additional cores and the NPU versus the Z2 Extreme, but the Z2 Extreme is more geared towards the lower TDP, the more efficient and handheld market than the AI 370, I do believe, but it's going to be a more feature packed chip, so depending on what the power does there and all that and the performance, it'll be interesting to see. But the size of the battery is a little small, I think, for something like that, but we'll see how that works out. There's no change to the screen. It does remain the 7-inch 120Hz OLED panel with relatively large bezels. The battery capacity is also unchanged at 48.5 watt hours. The device currently has no release date or pricing information, but is expected to launch later this year. And that's the end of the article. Pretty quick, but we do have these specs laid out. Like I said, you can see it up there in their little note as well. But it's the Zen 5 RDNA 3.5, which is what the Z2 Extreme is going to have as well. The AI 9 HX370, the Radeon 8090M. 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X, a terabyte of storage, the 7-inch OLED 120Hz screen, Wi-Fi 6E, 48.5 watt hour battery, Windows 11 2025. So a nice little step up from what they had before, but we got to see how this is going to perform, what the battery is going to be like and all that, and also keeping the smaller display. Maybe they're also trying to just keep costs down by being able to use something they've already been using and been supplying, so that might help a little bit because price is getting to be a bit of an issue with some of these handhelds. Even the MSI Claw 8-inch that I have on the way, that'll be here in a couple of days for me to review, it's $900. And when it comes to handhelds, you know, the sweet spot for me when we're talking PC handhelds is really $399 to $599 for what I think is the larger market of people out there shopping for these. Once you go over $600 to the $700, $800, $900, even $1,000, you start getting into a little bit more higher end niche market on these devices. So We'll have to see what this one's going to come out at, but the fact that it is rocking the HX 370, 32 gigs of RAM, a terabyte of storage, I mean, it's got to be pushing that 900 like the MSI Claw, or maybe even a little bit more. So we'll have to see what that's gonna be like when they actually announce pre-orders for it and all that. But I know a lot of you have been interested to know if there's a handheld coming with the HX 370, something from, you know, ASUS or MSI or Legion or Zotac or whatever. I know there's some other stuff out on some of the other companies that they're working on, but a lot of you guys have been asking about these mainstream, you know, brands having these. So it looks like we're gonna have that with Zotac. So we'll see how that's gonna work out for them. So yeah, it's definitely a step up from what they released not too long ago last year. I believe it was August 2024. A bit late with that one. I don't think they'll be as late with this one. We'll probably see it in the next 3 to 5 months or so that you're able to grab it. We've got the new Legion Go S models coming out in February and May. I'm sure ASUS is going to want to launch something this summer. The Legion Go 2 is rumored to come out sometime between June and September. That could certainly change or be off. It's just things that I'm hearing. So I don't think Zotac would wait too long on this. We're gonna have a ton of handhelds and competition and really different chips from AMD and Intel and different configurations and stuff like that to take a look at this year. Not to mention Windows 11 and SteamOS, since SteamOS is now expanding to many more devices this year, starting with the Legion Go S. So yeah, really interesting. I knew Zotac would have this announcement at CES. It does look like they're sticking with the Ryzen AI series of chips here. I know a lot of you guys are going to be interested in that in the handheld. So yeah, we'll see how it works out for them and keep an eye out for those pre-orders and price and all that they've got here. So anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.